Up next, we have Judy Sims, who's the program coordinator with the Utah On-Site Wastewater Treatment Training Program here housed at USU at the Water Research Laboratory. And she's going to be talking about some considerations for if you have septic systems on your property as well.
Oh, hello. Our wastewater treatment training program is in support of a certification program that is run by the Utah Division of Water Quality, so that anybody who is doing site evaluations or designing septic systems or inspecting systems or maintaining and operating systems, they have to be certified by the Division of Water Quality. And to do that, they come to classes through our training program and take exams, and then they become certified through the Division of Water Quality. And this program has been going now for 25 years. Uh, so, oh, yes, please change the slide. So, owning a septic system is with this compared to some of the other speakers, we've been concerned about water quality of surface waters, but and here we're using human wastewater. So we're really concerned about human health with the operation of septic systems. And so if you don't have it, if you're not hooked up to a centralized sewage system, it's your responsibility to operate and maintain your own mini treatment plant. So um, we take care of our wastewater, we protect you, your family, and your community. And primarily, since we're looking at human waste, we're looking at contamination from disease-causing organisms. And then, as Emily just mentioned, the effects of nitrates on infants. Um, Excessive nitrates in drinking water can, if a baby ingests it, it can change the hemoglobin to a form where the baby can't take up oxygen. So the disease is actually called uh, blue baby syndrome. It's not good. Your baby needs oxygen, right? Okay, so please change the slide. So it's a treatment system. And lots of times we think of just getting rid of the wastewater, but we're actually treating it. So it comes out of the home, it goes into the septic tank, and the septic tank is the first step of the treatment where we separate out the solids. We have the floaters and we have the sinkers, and we have some anaerobic digestion, which starts the digestion of the organic materials from your kitchen and your toilet wastes. So that starts the digestion, and then it goes out into the soil. And the soil is where the next step of treatment is accomplished. We have good microorganisms living in the soil, and they consider the organics coming from your waste as food. And so they degrade it and break it down into carbon dioxide and water. Pretty good stuff. And and also the soil, in the soil, we have the absorption of some nutrients. And the pathogens, those disease-causing organisms, they can die off in the soil if we make sure they're not washed through the soil, or they can be eaten up by the good microorganisms. So what kind of drain field do we need? We do a site evaluation. We come up with whether it's a suitable soil. So we have treatment and we have disposal. So we want our suitable soil in our drain field is either one that's not too fast, so there's no time for the treatment to occur, and not too slow, so that it doesn't move through fast enough and it might back up into your backyard or into your home. So please change the slide. And so we can have two types of failures. We can have that one where it's not disposing it. It backs up into your home or your yard. It's an emergency situation. We hope that it's corrected promptly. Another problem with this is if it's on the surface, it can then be runoff into surface waters and affect the surface waters. So that's the operational failure. The second, please change the slide. And the second one is functional, where it's good for you. The water is moving away, but it's moving through too quickly, so we don't have time for treatment to occur, and we can affect the community's water quality. So you might not know this. It's water's going away very well, but in some cases, if it is affecting surface or groundwaters, that you might be asked to upgrade your septic system and get a more complex one that provides better treatment. Change slide. So we have two big problems. One is the system is designed, so the person you hire to design your system, they come up with the daily maximum flow. And they also size the septic tank based on the expected daily flow out of a certain sized home. And this maximum amount of wastewater is has a safety factor to it. So we don't want to always put out that maximum amount, but we have a safety factor for Christmas when all the kids and grandkids come home or any kind of surges into the system. So that's the first thing you have to remember is that your system is designed for a certain amount of wastewater per day, and you don't want to exceed that. Change slide. So, for example, you have a three-bedroom home, you have five people living in there. Based on the Utah regulations, it says the maximum daily flow rate is 450 gallons per day. Um, and you would have to have a septic tank that was at least 1,000 gallons in size. So the average flow, based on lots of studies and monitoring we've done in Utah, is about 45 to 60 gallons per day. So the daily wastewater for these five people would be 225 to 300 gallons per day. But if you have leaky toilets and faucets, that can add up to as much as 200 gallons per day. Or if you have lots of showers being taken, you have teenagers who take showers until the hot water runs out, or you do a lot of loads of laundry in one day, you can exceed that daily flow rate and then lead to system failure, both backing up perhaps or moving the wastewater too fast through the soil before it can be treated. Change slide. Uh, so in the septic tank, the wastewater flows into it, and it takes about 2 days to go through there. So the sludge layer on the top, I mean on the bottom, and the lighter materials float to the top. Those are the oils and greases, the soap scum, and the toilet paper. And so it turns out that about every 3 to 5 years, you need to pump those solids out because if they accumulate too much. If you look on the right-hand side, you see that T, and so that scum and that sludge can go out into the drain field and clog it up, and then you have a failing drain field. So you have to make sure that you pump it um, periodically. And it's really important for the scum because the scum starts building from the top down, and uh, if it slips out into the drain field, it especially has the adverse effects because it clogs. You can imagine oil and grease would clog the bottom of the trenches and prevent the wastewater from going into the soil to be treated, and also it prevents the flow of oxygen into the soil. So that's a good. So if you look at that septic tank, um, there's observation ports over the inlet and the outlet, and then the pumper would come and pump through the manhole. And the risers, you should have risers over the inlet and the outlet so that the pumper can look and see if they have to repair those inlets and outlets when they pump it. Change slide. So the solids, like I said, it takes about 2 days, and there's beginning the degradation in the tank. So about 50% of the solids are actually broken down in the tank. And now, since the whole system is biological, microbial activity, we need to treat our bugs nicely. So please change the slide. Um, so we don't want to use a lot of antibacterial cleaning products. We don't want to kill off our bugs. We don't want to hydraulically overload the system, so we know all about conserving waters. I'm sure you have lots of information about how to conserve water. We want to avoid putting excess solids into the septic tank, so avoid or minimize use of the garbage disposal. You can compost your food waste, and you can also scrape your oil from your fry pans. You can scrape that with paper towels and put it in the trash. In the toilet, the only things you should flush are toilet paper and human wastes, and then it should be pumped periodically. Change slide. So make sure you don't dispose of any non-biodegradable solids into your septic tank. And there's a list of things that you can look at that things we don't want to put into our septic system. We want to avoid putting as much oil and grease down the drains as we can. And we certainly don't want to put any hazardous compounds into the septic tank that would harm our biological activity. Change slides. So that's the septic tank. If we move out into the drain field on the right-hand side at the top, that's most of our drain fields are probably pipe and gravel. And the depth of the trench is based on what levels of the best suitable soil we would have in that particular area. And so that's the standard trench pipe and gravel. On the left-hand side, some of you might have something called chambers, or they're usually referred to as uh, their brand name, which is infiltrators. And there you just have, instead of any gravel, you just place these chambers into the trenches. Or the bottom one, we also have, instead of gravel, you can use these bundled synthetic aggregate that looks like packing peanuts, and you can use those in the trench. So that's what your drain field might be made of. Change slide.
And you've got about 3 minutes left, Judy.
Okay, so taking care of your drain field. Now those microorganisms that live in the drain field need oxygen. So you don't want to compact the soil. You don't want to build a structure on it. You don't want to cover it with concrete or asphalt. And then to prevent moving contaminants to the groundwater, you don't want to over irrigate. We like to have a nice green lawn, but you don't want to leach contaminants to the drinking water. You want to put grass on your drain field, not trees or shrubbery where the roots can plug up the lines. And you want to, since it's designed for a certain amount of wastewater per day, you want to keep the surface runoff away from your drain fields. Change slide. If the drain field fails, when the person designed your septic system, is that they should have set out a part of the area where you have your drain field, but they are also required to identify another piece of property, of land on your property for a replacement area. So in case that first drain field fails, and it might after 20, 30 years, you can build another drain field. So you need to know where your replacement area is, and you need to protect it. You need to not compact it. You don't build on it. You need to keep it open. And so that if that first drain field fails, that you have that replacement area. And that is a requirement for getting a permit for a septic system, is to have that replacement area. Change slide. So warning signs of failure, you can, if you have a private well, that's been mentioned before, you can have it tested, and you want to see if there's any fecal coliform or E. coli bacteria in there. And if that is present, that means there's a presence of feces, and that means there could be disease-causing organisms. Or you can have a tested for nitrates, which could adversely impact infants. And you can have this done at your local health departments. Another thing, if you have surfacing wastewater wet spots in the drain field, if it's backing up in the home, the wastewater is backing up, or you have slow draining fixtures, it's time to get your septic tank pumped. If you have wastewater odors in the backyard, that could mean that you have some surfacing problems. But the septic system should be vented back and through the roof, so there might be odors on top of the roof there, and that's okay because we have them vent back through the home. And change slide.
And just 1 more minute, Judy.
Okay. Alternative systems. In some cases, some of you might have had some limitations. Groundwater, bedrock, just not enough separation distance because you need enough suitable soil. You don't have separation distances from, let's say, lakes or streams, or the soil at your property is too fast or too slow. There's a possibility that you can have a more complex system. And if you have a more complex system, then you have to have inspection and maintenance by a certified professional. So some of you might have alternative systems. It's not very common, but if your site does have limitations. And change slides. So just to finish up here, there's help out there. Your local health departments have certified, licensed environmental health scientists that can help you with any problems that you have. There is um, money available through the Division of Water Quality for repairs and replacements of failing systems that you can apply for. There is an income limitation on that, but there is available funds for that. And there's also funds if you're up in the Tri-County area in Roosevelt, Vernal, they also have another uh, pot of money that you can use for repairs and replacement. And also, if you have any problems, you can go to the Division of Water Quality On-Site Program website, and you can get a list of certified on-site wastewater professionals that have been through our training program certified by the state, and they can help you. And that bottom picture right there is the 13 health departments in the state of Utah that you could go for assistance. So, if you have any questions, you can contact us and we can help you with any problems you have with septic systems.